Hey, today I'll be talking about episodes 31 through 34 of YanXi Palace. So thanks to Yuan, Hongzhou, and Xian, the porridge drive went off, well, not without a hitch, but it went okay. This whole time, Yingluo has been resting in the stockroom since she's still ill, or that's what she was supposed to be doing anyway. Jinshou follows her and finds her meeting with some villagers that are being temporarily housed in the servants' quarters. The Empress Dowager's birthday is coming up, and with Shen stealing all the attention lately, Gao wants to impress. Her father heard about an act literally called 10,000 purples and 1,000 reds. It involves splashing molten iron into the air to produce a dazzling light show. Along with the performers, they decided to kidnap some regular village people, forcing them and their children to learn and perfect the act so they can perform it at the Empress Dowager's birthday at a scale never seen before. A lot of the villagers have been seriously injured due to the intense training and punishments for failing. Some were even killed trying to escape. Yingluo and Yuan had noticed these poor villagers a while back, and we got to see a bit of the difference between these two as her sense of justice was all riled up while he was just like, don't get involved, you'll get us both killed. Yingluo clearly is not following Yuan's advice, and as Jinshou watches on, it looks like she's working with the villagers to somehow get them out of this predicament. Qing goes to see Fu Heng. In the midst of the Empress, the flooding, the general running of the country, apparently the Emperor still had time to order a marriage between Fu Heng and Qing. This is no doubt a bid to get Fu Heng to give up on Yingluo, and dude, priorities. Fu Heng is polite as always, but lets Qing know that he has no intention of marrying her or giving up on Yingluo.
你会遇到更好的人，一个真正珍惜你的人，但那个人不是我，抱歉。
Another blow. This would be so much easier than the uphill battle with Yingluo. This marriage is backed by the emperor and both of their families, and he still doesn't want her. Chun hears the news and gets weirdly aggressive.
皇上要替你和富察侍卫赐婚吗?
Qing tells her that Fu Heng rejected her because he's in love with Yingluo, and again, Chun is... what is going on here? Don't tell me we have another member of the Fu Heng fanatics. Jinshou secretly delivers a letter to Shen, detailing the conversation she overheard between Yingluo and Gao's captive villagers. Rather than do anything, Shen tells her maid to keep it quiet. As Shen's reputation has started to grow inside and outside of the palace, the emperor has started to pay more attention to her as well. After hearing about the porridge drive, the emperor is pretty confident Gao was the one who hired those troublemakers, but Shen pretends it's no big deal. She even sneaks in some compliments about Gao and the big event she's preparing for the Empress Dowager's birthday.
万紫千红.
His interest piqued, he decides to go and request a sneak preview. The Empress Dowager's birthday is still months away, but Gao is more than happy to show off.
吩咐开始吧。是。
The show begins, and it is indeed quite a sight. It's no wonder people keep getting hurt. They're straight up just tossing molten metal around. How do you even clean up afterwards? Suddenly, someone makes a mistake, and the metal is sprayed right towards them. And why were you guys standing so close to begin with? Shen throws herself over the emperor, protecting him with her body. So not a mistake for freedom! The culprit gets away and a palace-wide manhunt is started. Gao is very, very injured, but her dramatics make it hard to sympathize with her, especially when compared with the stoic Shen, who was also badly burned. The emperor finally loses his patience when the doctors report that she refuses to let them treat her because the medication they use would result in scarring.
胡闹！朕亲自在这看着，你给贵妃上药。是。
不要皇上，我不能留吧，我不要。
摁住他！
Taking a closer look, Dr. Ye finds out that the injury is even worse than they thought. The molten metal was purposely mixed with feces to cause infection. Who do we know with an endless supply of poop water? Yuan confronts Yingluo and is very disappointed and angry with her for putting herself in danger for the empress who abandoned her. And more than that, Yingluo went to such great lengths to make sure that it couldn't be traced back to the empress.
故意和高贵妃起冲突，以后有人追查你，好说是因为私仇跟贵妃为难，对不对？Yingluo.
Well, better hold off until she gets better. Meanwhile, the emperor goes to see Shen, who is the picture of strength. She says that these wounds mean nothing since she was able to protect her beloved husband. And gotcha. By the way, now that I've seen Shen's injuries in comparison to Gao's, my bad, she was not being dramatic. Gao's condition worsens, but it's mostly due to her just not following directions, so okay. Dr. Ye says there's nothing else to be done, and she'll be dead in less than a month.
本宫来探望贵妃，你们先下去吧。
After dismissing her maids, the claws come out. Shen tells Gao that she knew about the plot to ruin the show, and she was the one who had feces added to the mix. Ah, so Yingluo's not that savage then? Damn. Imagine how much of this you could have avoided by just not being a grade A asshole when Shen was at her lowest. Gao's maid returns to find her on the floor, but she won't let her report anything. She knows she's lost. She gets dressed and asks the emperor to come and see her one last time.
臣妾知道已时日无多，想为皇上跳最后一支舞。
I cannot imagine how painful this would be with that back, but Gao gives a haunting performance that will no doubt stick with him forever. She tells him that she knows he never really loved her. She's lived her whole life as a pawn between the Gao family and the imperial family, but that's all over now. She only has one final request, that he has her mother's body moved and buried properly in the Gao family tomb. Later, after he's gone, she gives a final encore performance and hangs herself. When things die down, Yingluo tries to sneak in to see the Empress, who at this point may just be faking so she can keep eavesdropping on everyone. Fu Heng was waiting for her though and catches her in the act. So this is Miss I Hate the Empress, He tells her to drop the act. He's already asking you to turn a blind eye at a certain hour every night so that she can sneak in and see her. He also tells her that his feelings haven't changed and he is still waiting for her. I mean, literally, what is not to like about these two? Xian purposely lets her wounds fester under the guise of being so busy working that she has no time to take care of herself. The doctor checks on her and it's the classic, "Her Highness has been working so hard and she never takes care of herself. All she cares about is making sure the harem is running smoothly." Just as we rehearsed. Oh, there's my cue. Shut your mouth! Don't say such things in front of the emperor! I mean, come on. In any case, it works. The emperor is so floored by her selfless dedication that he promotes her to Gui Fei, noble consort. Later, Xian is given a cream that should leave her with no scars, but decides not to use it. She wants the emperor to be reminded of her saving him every time he sees it. She is just making full use of this injury, the love of her husband, a promotion, and now future emotional blackmail. Well worth the pain. Yingluo continues to sneak in every night she can and chat with the still unconscious empress. One night, the emperor comes to visit while she's still there. Yingluo hides away and hears some very personal stuff. The emperor shares his feelings about Gao's passing, and he does seem really sad about her dying declaration that he never treated her with sincerity, though he says even given the opportunity, he probably wouldn't have treated her any differently. He talks about an old friend he had, his wet nurse's daughter. She was executed by his father, the emperor at the time, because she overstepped her bounds by being too friendly with him. But really, they were just young kids playing around. He says he used to resent his father, thinking him cold and unfeeling. But then, one day, he saw him crying at the coffin of his beloved Nian Gui Fei, the very woman he had a hand in bringing down. He learned that it wasn't that his father didn't have a heart, but that he knew that as an emperor, he could never be so blinded by love as to lose sight of the big picture. Killing the girl was a lesson and a warning, one that the emperor has never forgotten. Whatever his feelings might have been for Gao, she had her positions and duties, and he had his. However cruel and heartless it might seem, he knows he can never truly give his heart to anyone.
那个讨厌鬼终于走了吗？
你说呢？
Tricked ya! Yingluo quickly says she sees the empress's hand moving, but while he's distracted, she runs off. Absolutely shameless. Chun runs into Fu Heng. Skipping the pleasantries, she tells him to be careful as there's a rumor going around that he's in love with Yingluo. He tells her simply that it is not a rumor. I love that he's always so straightforward about this. But anyway, there it is, the official confirmation, Chun is in love with Fu Heng. The emperor goes to see the empress and runs into Yingluo again. This time, they have a chat about the empress and the state of affairs. He's strangely open with her about his worries with the flooding and his disappointment with the ever-scheming ministers and shallow harem women. Yingluo shares her thoughts and some things that the empress has told her in the past, and his heart begins to soften to her. Partly thanks to her advice, the emperor decides to follow his conscience and cut down on taxes to help the suffering people. After a bit of deliberation, the emperor goes to see the empress again to tell her that he has decided to pardon her precious Yingluo. When Erqing hears this, she encourages him to go and tell Yingluo in person. Sure, she will be elated when she hears the news. She leads him to the back area where she knew Yingluo would be with Fu Heng.
这么晚了，富察侍卫怎么会在此？
Erqing. The emperor leaves without saying a word. Damn it, Erqing, I was rooting for you. I know it's not unrealistic to do this out of jealousy, and I get it, but it makes me so angry when people just want to bring others down even though it won't make their lives any better. You think it doesn't hurt me every single day that I'm not Idris Elba's wife? Of course it does, but this is the equivalent of going out and assassinating her, as if that'll suddenly open the door for me. Like, this might make sense if the person you're jealous of is literally the only thing standing between you and what you want, but that is so not the case here, Erqing. He doesn't want you. Yingluo and Fu Heng are just being their shining selves, and everyone else is like, no, me. What about how your happiness makes me feel? Like, what is even going on with Chun right now? I mean, we've definitely had hints, but this is insane. Apparently, she has been thinking about him day and night, making plans for his future, helping out, speaking up for him when she can.
可他呢？他竟然爱上一个新者库奴才，这简直是天大的笑话！
But also, this completely recontextualizes the Empress and Chun's whole relationship, because until now, I thought it was mostly sincere. I thought the Empress had earned her loyalty somehow and Chun just wasn't interested in the Emperor, not in love with someone else. But this means all her planning and support was really just out of love for her brother. And with that gone, kind of a funny moment I had when my mind was in limbo between English and Chinese. After the reveal, I suddenly thought, that night, she wasn't writing he, she was going to write hung, as in Fu Heng. But that makes zero sense. That's not how Chinese works at all. On to Gao. I actually really felt for her when in the middle of all that pain, she was still so terrified of the treatment leaving scars. She wasn't just being a brat, it must be so terrifying knowing that your entire worth is your face, your body, and with scars like that, her future would practically be over.
不能带着这身疤痕去侍奉皇上，你只能靠着你高家的恩宠活着，靠着皇上的怜悯活着，还得承受整个紫禁城的鄙视和嘲讽的目光。
At least in the end, she was able to fulfill her wish of giving her mother a proper burial. I was fully satisfied with how she went out. What she did to those villagers seems like just the kind of thing she'd do, and it was a great plan to get rid of her that did not rely on luck or stupidity. How amazing is Shen 2.0? She is too good at this. I can't blame the emperor for never opening his heart to the palace women. More than any of the other emperors I've seen, I think he seems to really understand just how impossible it is to come by genuine love when the husband and wife are really a master and a subject. I really love the character development we got in these episodes, and he certainly feels like more of a real person now with very real wants and fears. But Shen has managed to break down that wall. He really sees her now as being just as sincere as the Empress is. It's funny, the years when she was sincere, he thought she was faking, and now that she's faking... Speaking of the Emperor's relationship with the harem women, there is a conversation between the Emperor and Yingluo where Yingluo says something that's really stuck with me. The Emperor complains that with all that's going on in the world, his consorts still busy themselves with petty scheming and infighting, makeup and hair ornaments and who said what to whom.
打从一出生，女子便被居于一方天地，就算是出嫁了，也是从一个笼子换到另一个笼子。明明是养尊处优的黄鹂画眉，又如何同雄鹰一般眼界开阔，翱翔四海？
So true. It's so easy to judge these women for their so-called petty worldviews as if they wouldn't want to fly higher than that if they could. I mean, I'm still gonna judge them though, because where would this channel be without that? Final note, Yingluo and Yuan.
哥，
你刚才叫我什么？
I still love them so much.
从今以后，我就是你的义妹。
Between his reaction to the villagers and his reaction to her helping them, it's becoming more and more obvious that they aren't as similar as I thought. But I do wonder if this could easily have been Yingluo with just a few more missteps. How many dead friends before you decide you don't really want friends anymore? How many betrayals before you decide you no longer trust anyone? How many times would you need to be screwed over by the people in power before you decide that none of them are worth your loyalty? Despite all the hardships lately, you have to admit that Yingluo is really lucky. There have been at least half a dozen instances where she should have been killed or at least severely punished, and either through luck, trickery, or someone protecting her, she's managed to skirt the consequences. Working here is the first serious punishment she's had, and really, it's still getting lucky because she should have and would have been killed without the Empress's protection. Yuan, on the other hand, has had no such lucky breaks, and I'm having a hard time blaming him for his cold attitude to everyone but Yingluo.
如果是你病了，我也一样会这样照顾你。
你说的真的？
I'm just hoping Yingluo can make him a more caring person rather than him pulling her down. Till next time, thanks for watching.